Okay, hey everyone, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and read their work. And yeah, I'm not going to belabor this too much because we just lost 20 minutes because we really got hit hard by Zoom trolls earlier. So we're just going to jump right into this thing. First up tonight is Griffin. Are you with us, Griffin?
All right. Yes. Okay. William, you have the link, right?
Yep, just
Cool.
put it in the chat.
Okay. These are three poems in the cut-up poetry tradition of the great author, occultist, and wife murderer William S. Burroughs. They're titled Venus, Dionysus, and Artemis. She got that wife guy pussy, or whatever. She got that tenancy agreement pussy. She's got that nationalized pussy. She got that DPS pussy. She's got that leafy pussy. One whole quarter pussy universe. She's got that approximate pussy, that fully sublimated pussy.
Fully
She's got
supplemented.
that noise canceling pussy.
Noise
She's got
canceling.
that autistic sensory overload pussy. She's got that abandonment issues pussy. Sex, as in she got that penis pussy. That chemical castration pussy. She's got that COVID-19 pussy, that stunted pussy. She's got that vaccinated
not
pussy,
Bible study?
that microchipped pussy.
What about Bible
She's
study?
got that post-biological pussy, that stock trading algorithm pussy. Pussy on the blockchain. She got that spinal cord damage pussy. She got that insomnia pussy. She's got that Karanzan pussy, that Faustian pussy, that Abyss pussy, that Dyatlov pussy, that 1d6 stamina damage pussy. Neo pussy arrives from the future. Eldritch pussy hive mind. This is Dionysus. Real horny about femboys. Racist femboys. Right-wing femboy. Femboy Lovecraft. Femboy Hooters. Femboy Tulpa. The last femboy emperor. Dracula's femboy brother. A femboy serial killer. A femboy Minecraft YouTuber. A femboy fallen angel. Anything involving femboys. And this is Artemis. God looks after lesbians. Crazy lesbians, violent lesbians, very, very quiet lesbians, cybernetic lesbians, lesbian alchemists, lesbian vampires from outer space, a lesbian entity, woodsy lesbian, a lesbian priest, a sad, early middle-aged lesbian, lesbian who can't sleep, lesbian assassin, lesbian ninja, a sword lesbian, and her lesbian sword, ancient lesbian sorcery, you useless lesbian, I'm actually a very useful lesbian, militant French lesbians, erotic, psychological lesbian thriller, the only lesbian clown here to melt into the lesbian sea.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. Those were so good. So were cut-ups, right? Sorry about the guy
Those
who
were
interrupted you, by the way. You handled it well.
those. Oh, I didn't even notice. Those were all taken from Discord DMs with friends of mine. Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a good
Amazing.
idea. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt you, Eris?
No, I interrupted you like an asshole. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
just
it's
think
okay.
that's
What did
amazing.
you say?
That's amazing, and just the that pussy poem was amazing. Pussy on the blockchain. Fuck.
Pussy on the blockchain. Yeah.
Well, that was fantastic. I love cut up poetry, period, but I really like the idea of like internet cut up poetry and like found internet found poetry. And I think that was a great example of it. If I wasn't like a little afraid of being canceled, I'd do something similar with my Skype chat with Rudy.
Yeah, I did it just like as a bit, and then like it got way more popular than anything I've ever posted online. So That's life.
Oh yeah, holy shit. I'm just now looking to see the engagement with that. Oh wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you for reading, and once again, sorry about the trolls. Okay.
I will say, William, I warned you about that fucking Dom dude, man.
Yeah, so it goes. So it goes. Okay, next up is Mark. Are you with us, Mark, still?
Yeah, still here.
Hey, Mark. Uh, I'm having it.
All the hardcore pornography. I don't-
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit,
Can you
Mark.
hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. Can you say a little bit because you were really lagging for a bit there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing my voice fed back to me. I'm wondering if maybe you I'm not sure. Maybe there's something up with your stream or
Yeah,
your
just
mic setup.
if you want to go to the next person, I can just dial in, and then that'll help fix it
Yeah,
potentially.
that'd be great. We'll do the next
Cool.
person, then we'll come to
Yep.
you after that. Okay. So Michael, are you with us, Michael?
I am here.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
So you're going to be reading an excerpt from a work in progress novel, I think you said?
Yes, yeah. So this is, I guess, just a little bit of preface. So yeah, this is a chapter from a novel that I'm like basically done with. I'm just doing some final copy edits to. Basic premise of the book is these two friends are making a movie about a homeless man who believes he's a superhero who is waging a one-man war on the opiate epidemic in their hometown. One of the characters, just prior to the novel's beginning, has passed away from an overdose, and so the book kind of charts his struggles to come to grips with that death, and kind of how that plays out against his interactions with this person and his friend, who she is a film student looking for like this big story, and that's kind of sort of how they kind of randomly come across this man. So this chapter is chronologically the first thing that happens in the story, and it's the day of this main character's sister's passing. So let me just bring this up here. Cool. Amy opened her eyes on a Friday. For a moment, it was a pure awakening, just observation. The body warmed to bed, horizontal bars of white light across the far wall and the closed door, the gentle thrum from below of the house's central air conditioning in its struggle to push back the hot late spring morning, like floating in an ocean far above any pressure. Then she saw the iron black slacks and blue blouse flung over the back of a desk chair, and the scurrying anxiety began. A job interview, the answers it demands, the very need to leave the room, to prepare yourself to face the rest of the world, to don her humanity. For a moment, Amy thought of calling the doctor's office. It was for a secretarial job, not unlike one she'd worked 2 years before, and telling them she was sick. But then she thought of her mother, who arranged the interview through a friend who pressed the clothes without being asked and left them to be found. Skipping the interview would mean a revival of the old arguments that, at their zenith, threatened to buckle her own existence. How close she had come to being cast out. Once this idea felt exotic. Fuck the family, its comforts. But 3 weeks bouncing between old lovers and acquaintances made it hazy parties and bonfires at her back home, to the familiar gravity she insisted was not inevitable. It was a restarting point, John said one night, the two of them stargazing on the back porch. One of those rare moments of wisdom from a younger sibling who always looked up to her, a pressure unto itself. These thoughts rattled in her like broken teeth in a tin can. She thought about never getting up, about getting high, about some combination of both, until she threw away the covers and began to move. My what? Amy asked. Your biggest strength, the interviewer, a heavy man in a tight-fitting collared shirt, said. His rumpled blue tie hung down his front like a swollen tongue. Oh. There was a tiny hole in one of her pant legs. The tip of her right index finger found it, worried its edges, and said close in fear her skin might be discoverable. Take your time. No need to be nervous, the interviewer said. He opened his mouth to reveal coffee-scarred teeth. That's reassuring, Amy thought, but it did relax her and she felt the tightness in her body unwind. I'm a hard worker. When given a task, I see it to the end, completed to the best of my abilities. I am my mother speaking, Amy thought. My mother is strong. I should be like her. Can you give an example? Well, Amy said, dwelling on the word as she reached for a memory. Summer camp, lifeguard duty, a small child flailing in placid water. I worked as a lifeguard for a few summers in high school, some high-tension situations. One time I rescued a kid who almost drowned. Oh, wow. Good for you. So what I mean is I was put in charge of something, keeping those kids safe. And I did. She pressed her finger deeper into the tiny hole. No kids drowned, she continued. That's great. But I mean, if you have like an office example, something relevant to that. I did some office duty back then, like doing all the swim test logging and stuff for future years, record keeping and stuff. Is that the only clerical experience you have? The hole was wider now, Amy's finger pressuring the skin, the material of the pants permanently wounded and exposed. I worked at Skips for 2 summers, stacking ice cream cones and stuff, but also like running registers and stuff, going to the bank. That's clerical, right? Sure, the interviewer said. Amy watched his pencil dance across the paperwork in front of him, assigning whatever sentence was in store in indiscernible scrawl. The interview continued. There was a window on the far end of the room, and though it was covered by a shade, Amy knew it overlooked the building's parking lot. A backup alarm rang out, resounding clear in the office, and Amy's mind settled on the arc of the sound. Hello? The interviewer asked. Oh, geez, sorry, what was your question? The eraser of the pencil in the interviewer's hand tapped against the paper on the desk, his mouth shut. Amy watched and waited for him to answer. So he was a fat fucking loser. Amy's car trundled through the center of Montford. Her phone was in her lap, the voice of her friend Rebecca scratching out of the phone's damaged speaker. Basically, said Amy. Well, forget him and to hell with that job. You didn't want it anyway. Yeah. Amy reached over the seat beside her to grab the pack of cigarettes resting at the center of the cushion. My mom wanted it for me. Maybe they'll take you back at Friendly's. Yeah, probably not after the shit I said. You're fucking crazy. Maybe. Peter was being a huge douche to me a lot. Well, because he wanted to fuck you. Yeah, and he's fucking gross. I said it. I know you did. Amy gripped the wheel with both hands and turned, her car speeding away from the big intersection at Montford Center. Houses whipped by on either side until a stop sign slowed her down. She was close to home. A moving truck sat outside of a house where a childhood friend of Amy's once lived. 2 men were lowering a long couch from the rear. Half of the house's front was painted blue, the other a pale yellow. Amy wondered which color was the original one. We hanging out today? Rebecca asked. On my way now. Cool. Jared was just here. Amy was in a living room, fading, a couch's jaws around her, she a human being caught in its throat. A television babbled in the corner, some dirty cartoon. Amy's eyes settled on a long tapestry, one of those black and white collages of mushrooms and pot leaves and other things bordering on the cliche. A smell of burning, of dryness, drifting in the air like a distracted fly. A conflicting sense of unease and comfort draped across Amy like an old blanket. She pulled these feelings closer to her neck, laid her chin on them, watched the dirty cartoon. Rebecca said something, but not to her. There was someone else in the room, but Amy had forgotten who they were, why they'd come. A clock grew infirm on the wall. Then, all at once, it was time to leave. Burn-faced silence settled in the air between Amy and her mother. They'd screamed at one another for 15 minutes straight. Amy's brain felt disconnected as if its wires lay scattered in her skull, and she couldn't remember what triggered the argument. What did you say? Her mother asked. Nothing. You called me something. I don't remember. You do. I don't. Amy sat down on the floor and pressed her hands to her face. Her cries crashed against her palms, tears streaming down her wrists. There it was, the everything, collapsing like stacks of books toward the center of a room. For the 100th time that week, she wondered how she had arrived at this point, toddler-like, clutching her face at the feet of her mother. As a child, it felt so easy, as if escape velocities were built into the soles of her shoes. Prodigy was a word, spoken by teachers, family, friends, her parents, a word she came to believe was true. Once Amy felt herself, as there was a self to feel. But the difficulties accumulated like snow through the night. Anxiety, more fuzz than static. A plan to move to Boston scuttled because she spent her money rather than save it, leading to a perpetual cycle wherein she thought of her checking account either haunted or catcalled, depending on the day. The first shackle, the one she felt acutely still. A series of community college stints began, classes falling away like socks behind the bed, more incompletes than failures. Eventually, her parents stopped paying tuition. You need to work your way through this, they said. Hence the small jobs, plucking at registers, selling knives, one time slinging magic mushrooms out of the back of a McDonald's. Dollars accumulated and spent just as quickly. It became more difficult to get words out, to describe what was happening inside her, even to John, who she knew was dogged by the same predators of the mind. Sometimes they sat in the backyard, passing a cigarette, watching planes leap east and west, full of people on the move. There was solidarity, almost, in their stoppage. With Ezra, there was drinking and smoking, cackling, the levers of fun pushed to the limit. She loved him, but he'd chosen to forgo an escape hatch. For her, it wasn't so easy. Amy didn't find sleep between Friday and Saturday. She was back between the walls, thinking about their rigid boundaries, how their firmness exemplified her failures. There, the depression howled loudest. She kept her kit deep in the closet, beyond where her mother might go hunting for it. A few bags had been lost in the past year to that rummaging. Not that Amy blamed her mother. Sure, she was furious at the time. But in the hours beyond her rage, Amy understood the simple truth. Her mother wanted to protect her. It began with creeping through the quiet house to fetch water. She felt the cat, hungry, rub against her leg in the kitchen. The water was warm and Amy slipped from the glass's lip as she shuffled back to her room. Next, the candle, a purple wax stick about 8 inches long. Once lit, she opened the black kit bag and took out one of the good syringes and a large spoon. From her coat, she withdrew a small bulb of white powder, pressed into the corner of a plastic bag and tied around itself. A gift from Rebecca. From someone Jared knew, someone in Lowell, someone they were getting to know as a good source. Amy dipped the syringe into the glass of water and drew a half pinky length into the barrel. She took a few pinches of powder onto the spoon, then pressed the water out into the spoon as well. The powder and water coalesced, small pinpricks of white dancing in the fluid. Then she held the spoon above the flame, watching the shadows contort on the desk while the metal warmed and the mixture began to bubble, exude heat. The familiar burning smell stank of distant relief. Slowly, she drew some of the mix into the syringe. She placed the spoon on the table, blew out the candle, and stood. Through the heaviness, the suppression, the world bearing down on her like some calamitous weight, Amy knew something was wrong. Different. This was not like anything before or any of the befores for which she could muster memories. But she was no longer in control. She was a spectator of her own body, watching how slow her chest rose, how distant her feet seemed at the far end of her bed. Her heart shuddered like a troubled child once, and then again, then again. It's wrong, she heard herself think. The suppression deepened and her awareness of herself felt more cloistered, as if she'd been shown into a room and someone had stolen the door. She wanted to cry out, but there weren't words to find. John, mother, just ideas for things. But what had once felt cold grew hotter, slowly, encroachingly, and the thing she wanted to cry out felt more manic, aware more than ever that she might not have another chance to say or think them. Behind her steel lips she clamored, pounding the mind's bars as the heat grew and the walls fell away, and there was an idea of sun and God and terror and wonder, unseen, unfathomable, an eternal gravity, a soul thought beat repeating, escaping past the skull and the house and John and oh my God, and it all, a thought cry repeating, I want to be alive, I want to be, I want. And that's it.
Christ.
Holy motherfucking shit, that was amazing. I'm sorry for interrupting you again, William.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, that was wonderful. As, like, you know by now that I love your writing, but like I really love like the audacity of that piece, especially as the first chapter of a novel, to like begin the novel so deep inside the psyche of a character that's doomed to die in the first chapter. Like that's and the
I should
way,
say that that isn't unfortunately the first chapter. This is about halfway through the book. Like you learn
oh,
about Amy through the
gotcha.
book, and you kind of get you kind of like see his arc as he's sort of moving through the stages of grief, and then there's sort of like the halfway point. There's like the story kind of like steps back a little bit, and then you get this chapter, sort of like showing you in a past tense
Right,
this character's
how
death.
it's played out. Well, still, you get like so you're like you get so deep inside her mind, and the piece is so patient too, like especially because of the way you presented it. Like it was clear from the beginning this poor girl was doomed, right? But like your patience in getting there, your willingness to explore like this like small like awkwardnesses of her life and the sad drudgery of it, like that interview scene was so good. Like and reminds me so much of like interviews I've been in, and it's an experience I think that like most people have had, where they ask you that question and you're just like desperately flailing around in your mind to find like the example that they want you to use, right? And you just can't get there. And the like fact that what she goes to immediately is that image of the kid like flailing around in the lake. That's so perfect because you see the psychological connection her brain just makes, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be explicit. You see like why she went there and how she's feeling when she goes there and how inappropriate it is for the situation, but yet like I don't know, you just capture like the psychology of that so perfectly. It was a beautiful chapter. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to give a last minute plug. I know for Elle Nash, who was a big help in editing this book. I'm hoping to share this one in some capacity with the world sooner than later. So, no, I appreciate the kind thoughts, Willie, and everybody else. So, thank you.
Michael, is this the same work in progress you've been kind of reading from? Here and there
No,
the last couple
I
weeks?
have not. The other things I've read have been short fictions. I like thought about sharing from this before, and I might do some more excerpts in the coming Fridays.
That's awesome.
But this is one I was editing last night, and I like wanted to kind of try out the sound of it.
Yeah, it's super exhilarating.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And you'll definitely have to let us know when the book drops or goes up for pre-order or whatever. I'll make sure to give it a signal boost.
Yeah, we're very far from that, but if that wonderful day ever comes, I will certainly let everybody know.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
Rather. Before we move on to Mark, I just want to like check. Sarah Turner is a troll, right? She's been sitting in the waiting room for a while, but
Oh, I wanted to actually ask, like, so this looks like this is the Dom guy, right? Like, if everybody clicks that link, that's the Dom guy that sat in. Because if it does look like him, I'm gonna fucking wreck him on Twitter. But I want to make sure we all agree that's probably him.
we can talk about that after the reading. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to accidentally dox some dude in
Yeah, that
the
guy's
video that's going up on YouTube.
anyway. So good to know. It looks like him. So yeah, his parents will be very concerned when I fuck him.
Josh, have you ever been to jail?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Mark, how are you doing? Are you with us? Mark, I see you in the
Hey, can you hear me any better?
Yes, you're clear now. You're 100%.
Okay, awesome. Well, I don't know how I'm following up that. That was incredible, man. The tension in that story was like crazy. Just the interview and stuff. I'm sitting there like, what is going to happen? That was incredible. So the piece that I'm reading is about a pornography-fueled exercise bike. It's part of a manuscript that I've been working on called Very Shitty Job.
I'm hooked already.
Yeah, so bear with me. I'm going to read it as like a social media influencer would, or try to, because it's about like a fitness influencer who essentially gets glued to his Peloton and is like in a state of constant masturbation. So, here we go. 10-hour Bukkake climb ride, 6,000 calories. 2-hour XXX Stream 60s Gonzo ride, 2,000 calories. 30-minute Money Shot compilation ride, 400 calories. BDSM, reverse cowgirl, pegging, pissing, missionary cool down, reverse foreskin, inverted nipple, elderly, impotence. The bike had everything I needed. 3-hour cuckolding hit ride, 1,500 calories, and I cried at the end. I never used the bike until I was made aware of the enhancement program. I never knew fitness could be so addicting, so fulfilling, so spiritual. Now my orgasms propelled my feet through another rotation toward enlightenment. And though I could never leave the bike to visit family and friends, the calories burned and pornography consumed euthanized inconsequential relationships with people who didn't support my new lifestyle. I didn't need family when I had community. I didn't need conversation when I had weight loss. I didn't need hobbies when I had the bloodlust frenzy of holes being clogged and aimless forward momentum. The leaderboard was always on, and I was always climbing. 1-hour solo male masturbation sprint, 1,200 calories. By enrolling in their patent-pending Eternally Healthy program, I consented to their implementation experts breaking into my house, hastily applying a sizable Lululemon post-workout branded ether rag to my mouth and nose for 15 to 20 minutes, or until I stopped riding, installing the bike, and finally using a soldering kit to permanently fuse my flesh to the carbon steel pedals of the Peloton bike. I remember very little from the implementation process, but when I woke up slumped over on the bike, it was the happiest I'd ever been. Free from decision, immune from regression, stationary, but propelling endlessly forward into the blue light. 2-hour Big Dick's Little Holes ride, 2,300 calories. A lifetime of disappointment absolved by fitness. Mistakes forgiven by a vague commitment to change. They'd done me a favor of destroying every piece of furniture in my house, taking a knife to the couch cushions and a hammer to the television, and even killing my dog, whose corpse was unfortunately left behind. I made note to leave an unfavorable review that I would never write. Hordes of flies spawning from his rotting body were inconvenient, but they gave my fitness routine a vintage primal feel that I dutifully curated to uninterested friends and family members still following me on social media. In moments of weakness, I would speak to the flies, gain inspiration from the hum of their shit-covered wings, allow them to drink the sweat from me, and use their caress as a mechanism to remember what it was to feel. It was how our ancestors worked out. Eventually, I realized their presence and embrace was depriving me of the focus I needed, so I applied adhesive to my skin and absorbed them, watching them struggle and die to the sound of another screaming orgasm. I lifted for a climb and unhinged the hole in my custom-made Peloton bike pants, letting shit flow freely back into the seat, which used the compost methane gas to cook my Huel and gas station sex pill stew, which was served by an animatronic arm molded to the exact specifications of my deceased mom. I could hear the gears of the arm turn and the smell of the burning macronutrient powder, which also remedied my erectile dysfunction, cooking in my own shit. And before I knew it, my mouth was watering. The arm lifted the spoon into my lips and gently pressed into my mouth, probing the spoon into various crevices and allowing me to suck on it thoroughly before pulling it out, circling my lips and retreating to the side of the organic-looking cooking device it was attached to, nurturing me, providing me a sense of calm, wellness, calories in, calories out, burning the fuel and impregnating the room with more happiness. 45-minute prostate milking ride, 1,000 calories. Slowly but surely, the bike was architecting my ladder to heaven, where I would rule alongside God over a dominion of spinning angels. We would be responsible for the great self-care reckoning the earth so badly needed. Those whose personality wasn't dictated by our heavily filtered and insufferably curated fitspiration would be eradicated, cleansed, and suffered eternal damnation. Non-judgment, open-minded, taboo-free biblical wrath. Wellness. Swipe up. I took a selfie after my 15-minute cream pie lunch ride, and it didn't quite look right. I applied several filters in an effort to smother the irregular and abundant skid tags in my bleeding lips, but something still wasn't right. I smoothed my brittle hair over my scalp and felt several pieces shatter in my hands like uncooked spaghetti. I retrieved my Peloton-branded electrical hair growth stimulator and fastened it to my head, turning the knob to new scalp. I could feel the machine chemically peeling what was there and sewing in a fresh patch of hair. I lost consciousness twice, and when I came to, I couldn't see out of my right eye, but I had an unnaturally full head of hair and a 30-minute prolapse male anus ride was just kicking off. Inner beauty, another rotation. Redemption, mindfulness, another rotation. I pose for another selfie and it doesn't quite look right. I upholster my pair of officially licensed CrossFit pliers to go to work on my back molars. Each one slides from my gums like the melting candles from a retirement cake at a lifeless office party for someone who dedicated their life to something they hated. I stare into the LED ring that adheres a perfect glow to my loose leaf paper skin and missing teeth, and they've provided me enough contouring to capture the moment of complete and unbridled contentment. Active protection. 1 hour double-sided dildo sprint, 1,200 calories. Sexual awakening. Redemption for a life wasted until I became one with the bike. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. The light ring you see in my eyes is permanent. I'm always on. I'm always moving, always climbing, always bettering myself, always mindful, eternally inspiring people like you. That's it.
Oh my God. I wish trolls were here to hear this because they might have learned something.
Right.
That was uniquely perverse and vile, and I loved every fucking minute of it. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So good. And I'm really, your book is coming out in the not too distant future, right?
Yeah, so it's funny. I have one coming out that's like about somebody dying at like a colleague dying at their office, and then his entire life like being distilled into a PowerPoint presentation, like just a super sad, miserable thing. It's just
Right.
so that one's like a poetry one, but this one, yeah, I'm just starting to pitch. So hopefully somebody picks it up, but yeah, if not, I'll just I'll submit it here and hopefully get it published too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so PowerPoint Eulogy is the poetry collection, right? And that's coming out soon.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you for the plug, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let me know when it comes out, and I'll be sure to give it a signal boost on Twitter too. I love your work. It's so fucking awesome. It's so vile.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. So next up, Josh. Are you still with us, Josh? Are you over?
Yeah, no, I'm over it. You know what? I gotta say, like, just to be full disclosure, like, one of them said like shark mouth because I have like weird teeth, and like that was actually a childhood insult from when I was like, and it was just weird that they, so this is from my therapist, but it was like being insulted like over 20 years all at once.
Yeah.
So that's, but also they were shitty to other people. But so yeah, that's why I kind of lost my shit and got into full like, I will fuck you up, destroy you, raise your house, kill your mother, and piss on you all. That's why I got into that.
No, as someone with awful teeth who didn't have the opportunity to get proper dental care as a kid, like I totally feel you. Like I like it was like I've been there, I've done that. I get it.
It was the exact same insult, so it was like that was the thing too, because otherwise I'm just like, bitches, I have a good income and I'm working anyways. Whatever. We don't. But that's why I lost my Actually, I lost my shit because I have a short temper and I need to deal with that. But
okay, John. Well, it's all yours. You have some poetry to read, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have like Owen Griffin. See, everyone's being nice. This is good. These are good people. I knew that fucking bitch was no good though. So I'm gonna post a link. Let me know if it works, because I know last time you said it helps if I do this kind of like thing where I share the text. So it's 4 poems. One of them you heard before. The other 3 are not published. One of them I wrote today after being triggered by seeing an advertisement. But don't read them. Just tell me. Open the file, and then stop. Okay. And if it doesn't work, let me know if it works. I know some of you are going to read ahead.
Works perfectly.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just start. Oh, ignore the note at the top of the title of the first one. That was just for me. You weren't supposed to see that. But that's how I think. So, late capitalism. Saw an ad featuring a woman who looked just like you. She was doing yoga, and I thought of you, but I didn't want to. I didn't want the ad woman to break up with me too. How the fuck would she even find the time? She has yoga pants to sell on this street corner 24/7, and she has to maintain this exact pose. Her long brown hair stenciling the shape of her upper back, arched indefinitely. But oh, she'd find the time. Believe me, she'd find the time. Her facial expression actually looked a lot like yours did when you said it had to end. It was like I was walking past an advertisement selling the experience of breaking up with me for a marked up price to the upwardly mobile. I do think complete strangers would pay to dump my ass, even without a discount code. So now I have yet another reason to hate late capitalism. Lake talk. Walked down to the beach one February night and took a video by the water and texted it to a group chat of my friends with the message, "Shh, I'm trying to listen to the lake." And they all replied immediately, making my phone ping over and over. But I didn't reply to that conversation. February 17th, 2021. This one you've heard before, but it's been edited. I added something with birds, tropical. MC Escher. I'll go down on you in Hawaii, get zip-tied to parakeets, and jump off volcanoes with Rubik's Cubes, never quite figuring it out. I'll rewrite the Moonlight Sonata using only one note and compose a eulogy for myself. And then this one I hope gets entered into the Jewish diaspora because, I don't know, I write a lot about Florida, and it's not just because I'm a Florida man. It's actually because, like, Jews vacation there. It's kind of a rite of passage, Canadian Jews, anyways, those who have the means. Broward County, Florida. That I walked over that bridge that time. There was water. It was Florida. That I walked over that bridge that time. I couldn't believe it. I led my mom by the hand. I walked her back to our rented condo, an exception to my directional handicap. I knew what I was doing, where I was going. Hot concrete under sure feet. What happened? And that's it.
Wow. The first one absolutely blew me away. The late capitalism.
Oh, thanks.
The moment that it was like walking past an advertisement selling the experience of breaking up with me, like that is amazing. That like is just a spectacular turn of phrase, and that poem is so like self-conscious and so hilarious. I don't know, that one's wonderful. But the whole batch was really good and very much like full of your kind of unique, like I don't know, like self-deprecating like humor and viciousness, and I love it.
Well, thanks so much. And that was actually the last one that I wrote, but I thought it was actually the best of the bunch. And also wanted to say I really like Mark's stuff, who read before, but my head was still swirling about like this insult, the shark thing. I was like, oh my God, 20 years ago, you motherfuckers. And I couldn't focus on the poem and the writing and the stories, but really like that as well.
Josh, you should write a poem about the experience of like having to relive 20 years of bullying and abuse because of a 13-year-old in a Zoom call.
It's a book. It's a book, I believe.
You know, I'm going to move on in just a second, but I, for a little while, after I dropped out of grad school, was working as a substitute teacher. And it really was, every day was like I was back in fucking middle school, and all of the anxieties, all of the nastiness just came washing back. It was like the worst kind of like, it's like in Slaughterhouse-Five when it's like you becoming unstuck in time, except like it's being like waking up every day and being back in fucking middle school. It's just a terrible experience.
And thanks, Mullane, for the Lake Talk thing, because I actually like Lake Talk too. You know, I actually did it. It was literally, February 17th. I walked out to the lake. I was trying to, my friend, there's a device you can get for old people that like checks their pulse. It's like a thing you wear, alarm. Is it like alarm sense?
Life alert?
Life alert. And so I told my friends, I'm going down to the lake to listen to the water talk. And they were like, can we get alarm sense for you? Are you okay? I'm like, fuck off. I'm going down to the water. But anyways, I thought it was nice as well. And so thanks for liking that one. And also, Madeline, sorry for thinking you, if you're still here, for thinking you were a troll, when really the evil troll is the person I've just outed on Twitter, who I will compulsively tweet after this reading is over. That's all.
All good.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Thank you for reading. Next up is Gabriel. And Gabriel is our last scheduled reader for the night, but we'll be having an open mic after that. Maybe a short intermission and then an open mic. Rudy's not here tonight, so please don't put your request to read in the chat because I won't see them. But Gabriel, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Looks like Eris is saying she has something to read at some point.
Oh, cool. I'll keep that in mind. So this is a short story that was published in Shotgun Honey.
Yeah, it was a trip. I realized I had submitted it exactly a year ago, and it was published in June, I think. So yeah, it's a weird anniversary of the piece. Yeah, it's real short. It's like 700 word flash.
Cool.
It's called Church of War. My eyes strained to adjust to sudden nightfall. The church's cross stood silhouetted against the last-ditch rays of a gorgeous sunset, both of which I knew I didn't deserve. Why was I volunteering for a nonprofit when I was broke, 2 steps from destitute? I had my reasons. It was my first teaching gig, facilitating a writing class for local vets and active military to help heal the wounds of war. I've never served, but I had a hole blown in my spiritually bankrupt soul that I was pouring booze into all week. All it did was sink me deeper into my own trenches. Perhaps it wasn't the most ethical choice to beeline from happy hour to a church where we were going to have a group exorcism with guys who had really seen hell on earth. But like I said, I had my reasons. I walked in, clipping my shoulder on the door jamb. I was impressed they had all beat me there, their instilled military punctuality ahead of schedule, until I looked at the clock on the wall and actually saw I was 20 minutes late. I felt like a fraud, the way they all displayed their own heroic hellscapes by regions on their ball caps of honor. Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, then the other scorched earth campaigns, Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom. I imagined the complexity of guts, glory, and deception that these men represented. To be both hero and pawn for a country that couldn't keep its tongue out of a beehive. And who was I? Some spoiled brat who could have had everything going for him if he hadn't created a guilt-ridden hell with his own 2 hands. That's who. But I had found my people, at least for what I came for. If anyone would understand, it would be these compromised men. I proposed we all dig deep, exhume every ghost that woke us up at night screaming. Hello, I said. My name is Bradley Miller, and I'd like to start by saying thank you for your service. I was met with a couple nods of acknowledgement while the others just stared 1,000 miles past me. I'd like us to start with a prompt I've prepared. I'd like us to explore regret. What's the darkest, most remorseful thing you've experienced that you've never gotten to dissect? Nearly everyone communicated reluctance, if not full denouncement of the exercise. I realized I had forgotten the most important part. And by the way, this is all confidential. Let us pledge that none of this will leave the room. You have my word. Mr. Vietnam was the shot caller of this tight-knit group. He chided the others, reminding them that I was the one in charge, to do as I say. Show the kid some respect, he said. Heads went down as pens scratched pads. I was an outsider, but grateful for this opportunity. Maybe this was all I needed to get a good night's sleep. It was going to be fine. I was convinced whatever these guys were going to share, war crimes, hasty decisions that cost their buddies' lives, maybe, all bound to be far worse than my one-time moral hiccup last week, especially considering larger body counts these men have under their belts. I was the first one finished. To give them the confidence to share, I went first. I let it all out. What I did to the guy, where his body was now, what I did with the gun, what he did across me to justify the permanence of my knee-jerk vigilante justice. But they went rogue on me. One guy wrote about putting his dog to sleep. Another guy wrote about cheating on his wife. Another wrote about never seeing his kids, and some other guy just wrote about his boring morning that day. Well, Mr. Afghanistan recalled the time he nearly blew his brains out. I saw Mr. Vietnam with his back turned, talking on his cell, urgently relaying the address of the church. I jumped out of my seat, lunging for his phone as he swung at me, connecting with my nose. Maybe it was Mr. Desert Storm that whacked me with his cane while I held my nose to stop bleeding, but the flashing lights made a blurring strobe before everything went black.
Oh man, that twist. I really got blindsided by that. That was like, it's so efficiently written too. Like I don't know, just the idea of like using an exercise like that as a way to like find some relief for your own conscience, only to have it like completely go haywire. It sort of reminds me of like that Coen Brothers thing where you can totally understand the psychology of a character and why they're taking the actions that they are, but like you also know, oh no, like they're making a terrible mistake, you know?
Yeah. It was I was actually I did teach a class for these vets for like a couple months, and I was just it was a trip because I thought it was going to be totally different, you know. I thought we were going to really get into it and stuff, but it was interesting because war was like the last thing these guys wanted to talk about, of course, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was a really humbling experience.
Yeah, I imagine. But what a great premise for like a short noir piece, you know? I don't know. It's very well written and really efficient too. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
And that's it, I think, for our scheduled readers for tonight. Eris, you had said you wanted to read? You still with us, Eris?
I believe she's too busy defending teenage YouTubers.
Oh no. What? I don't even want to know how ugly things have gotten.
Don't worry about it.
No, that was just a joke. That was just honestly a bad joke, but a joke.
Oh, I see, Derek. You said you have a piece?
Yeah, I have a short piece I was going to read, if you can hear me okay and all that.
Loud and clear. So
Awesome.
you can go, and then if Eris is back, she can go, and yeah.
All right. Yeah, my piece is real short. I'm sorry I do not have a link. This is part of a larger work, which you'll be able to, well, you'll be able to tell if you've heard me read here before. But anyway, I don't know how to pull it out. And I don't want to link like the whole 100 and whatever pages. But the title of this particular piece is called Deviled Eggs. My cousin Ronnie showed me how to fuck. He fucked a Coke can and really cut up his dick pretty good on those aluminum shards. I watched him do it. He was a poet, my cousin Ronnie. He said, imagine you're drilling a hole to the other side of the world. Keep fucking till it hurts. He said I could try on him. He had a good asshole, he said. I never got big enough. He said, that's good. That means you ain't gay. He said it was hard being gay, but that he wouldn't know nothing about it. My cousin Ronnie lived in a double wide in Surrey County. Confederate flags draped the windows. They's all you could see from outside and no light ever got in. He fixed appliances for a living. There were broken appliances all out front, tall grass. He cooked, my cousin Ronnie, taught me how to fish, said, if you got to ask if it's a bite, it's not, said, that's a nibble, said, won't be asking once you get a bite, said, we'll be too busy reeling that puppy in. No one ever caught more fish than my uncle, cousin Ronnie, no way, no how. He fell asleep cooking. Fell asleep and probably didn't feel nothing. That's what the pastor told his mother outside the service. Cousin Ronnie in flames, snoring with his good asshole and 19 years clocked in on this earth, rising up to heaven with the smoke. My mom made deviled eggs for after at Nanny's house where we all gathered. My Uncle Raymond was a farmhand. I never met him. He was playing cards one night and someone said something reckless. Ray shot him. The sheriff's deputy was playing in the game. Uncle Raymond's mama, who'll outlive us all, I swear, used to tell it like they finished the hand, then the deputy took Ray down to book him. We all knew it wasn't true, but you don't come between a mother who's lost a son and the story she needs to tell. First time I saw my Uncle Raymond, he was dead and caked with makeup in his pine box. His mom told a story about finishing the hand. My mom made deviled eggs for after at Nanny's house. Cousins Jack, Todd, and Brett took too many back pills. Jack hurt his falling from a ladder hanging dry rock. Todd flipped an ATV shooting rabbits. Brett just really liked back pills. My mom made deviled eggs. Uncle Rodney was arguing with Nanny. She said he was a son of a bitch. We were all upstairs playing Barnyard Bridge. He said she's a good-for-nothing bitch. It's a family card game. He'd been drinking. The bank took his Silverado. Storm clouds, tire treads, dirt everywhere. He walked downstairs to the basement, and I didn't like it down there. I was a scared little kid then, and I'm a scared little kid now. Neighbors heard the shot. We heard the shot. Now you hear the shot. Mom made eggs.
Ah, that was so fucking good.
That was fucking incredible.
Oh my God, the way it, like, the opening was so fucking funny, and then it got so fucking tragic. And now you say this is part of a larger piece. Is this or a larger collection, or?
I mean, it's just in the same world that I've been messing with and stuff. You can kind of tell from some of the characters pull back in and do different shit and stuff like that. The main verse, that's right.
So
Eric,
I'm exactly, by the way, that shows I'm exactly narcissistic enough to keep the fucking chat up. Do you know what I mean? While I'm focusing, because if there's any negative stuff, like, I'm going to change the piece in real time to make it how you need it.
So wait a second, though. Does this mean that you're working on a collection, though? Because you said this was in a document that's like 100 pages, that this was a small piece. Are you putting?
I really appreciate you reading me. I think Eris is actually up next, and I am excited to hear that. Is the answer to that question.
Okay.
Derek, you make me feel like I'm not allowed to ever write about
I
myself
didn't
again.
even know I had nose hair until I saw that fucking video I posted for you, and all I can see is like 30 nose hair. You know what I mean? Like, when I was 28, I didn't have nose hair. But I look at that video now, and I'm just like a fucking ogre with chips.
I'm 28 and I have nose hair.
Oh, really?
I mean, I take it out.
Derek, we're all ogres with chips.
Fake. Is it too late?
That's what we are. Like, just embrace it. Also, like I said, you make me feel like I'm not allowed to write about the South ever again, which is a huge chunk for me.
You know,
So
all these people.
we're at this point where we're going to have to become, like, you're going to be my nemesis instead of my friend. So,
Jake, is it too late for a birthday video?
no, I mean, you know, I
Because
don't know.
I'm usually 3 to 4 days late for anything. So if I were to post something tomorrow, would that just seem sad or
Birthday month.
No, like, all right. Derek's story is what this is all about. I don't care about my birthday. Like, I'm 100% honestly, without any pretense or fucking joking or any kind of my Jake bullshit, right? 100% Derek, you are one of the finest writers I've ever had the pleasure of knowing personally, let alone reading. And it is an honor, sir. That was fucking excellent. I love you.
I second all of that.
I agree with all
I
that.
love that Derek is smoking too. Such a
Jake
G.
didn't answer my question, so I'm just gonna post it on YouTube tomorrow and whatever. Fine. Fuck all of you. You know what, Jake? Fuck you. I'm posting a birthday video tomorrow. And
Toronto is the first place I'm going when this shit is done.
it's really not a good city, but I would love to show you
No,
around.
I'm going to be right there. Like, right. I'm pointing to next to you. And we're going to come on the camera at the same time. It's going to be a Friday night. It's going to be awesome.
This isn't what you think it will be.
I
It's
love Toronto. I want to go. I love Toronto. Let's go to the LCBO and fuck shit up.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
gonna be very sad, but I would love.
Cool run.
I you know what? I'm gonna mute myself because I was trying to do something good by posting a Jake video belatedly, but clearly he doesn't want that, and I'll just do it anyways. And fuck him.
Okay. Well,
Happy
thank you,
birthday,
John.
Jake.
William, could I read something after Eris, please?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Eris is up next, and then Unity. Eris,
Okay,
I know you're
so
with us because I just saw you.
Sean Kilpatrick asked me to write something about violence, about what it was like. Wait, let me go to the DMs. He was like, tell me about like the knife with the blade or whatever. And so I channeled my inner psychopath and I wrote this. Okay, I'm
So
supposed
is
to
this
record
a
it.
brand new piece?
Yeah, I free wrote it yesterday. I have not edited it. I don't know how to say that. So I
Is
did.
this your first brand new piece that you're presenting since getting out?
Yeah, and I would like to say that this is a work of fiction and cannot be used in court. All right.
All
Thank
right.
Good disclaimer.
Silence was a language I learned from her, but I was still playing a role. I was playing Parker. I was playing the bad guy. I was so tired of being the victim because that shit gets old real fast. I told her to stay still, and I lightly cut her neck, making sure not to go too deep. I wanted decoration, for people to know I was there, that she did this to people, made them bad. She got up. Rewind. She came in. She had drugs, and I didn't, so I let her in. She had stolen Parker's knives and put them in a Billie Eilish stance sock. I had gotten her off Poshmark. Where are my knives? I asked her, loud enough so she'd hear me over her headphones, an insufferable, always there Zoom call. In the bag, she said, without looking away from the screen. I loved those knives. I could see why she stole them. Spyderco knives. They felt light in my hand, like nothing. They cut so easily. I remember my mouth making an O when I saw the inside of her arm. It was gross. And then I said the same exact thing Parker said to me. When he saw my face after 8 hours of us, there is no name I want to call it. Wow, I really fucked you up, huh? That looks really bad. My eye looked like it had almost popped out or something, like I was one last punch away from that one Uroguro everyone has seen. That looks really bad, I said sarcastically, mocking Parker, as I looked at Allison's arm. But she didn't know I was mocking him. You should get some help, I said. After she saw my look of disgust, she looked and, what's a good way to say she looked horrified, like she didn't know her body could do that. I had sliced paper with the knives before, loving how sharp they were. I drew a line on her shoulder, lightly, like a painter. It opened her skin up. When I put the knife to her neck, I remembered the way Parker put the same knife to my thighs, slowly, delicately, softly, almost not touching, and like magic, red lines would appear later. The last time I wanted to live was when he tried to kill me. Okay, that's it.
That's so good. Man, I love the details. Also, I love the Billie Eilish shout out. No, but oh
Twice.
my god. Huh?
Twice.
Yeah, just like the like ugliness of the details in that piece. It's like that was just like really viscerally upsetting, you know? Like real body
Thank
horror
you.
shit. And it was awesome. Thank you, Eris.
Thank you. Visceral that was awesome. Thank you for your feedback.
No, thank you. Unity.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say thank you, William and Rudy, for publishing my piece this week. I'm very,
Yeah.
very grateful for that, and I've appreciated the response so far too.
Oh my God, it's gotten an incredible response.
I can't help but think, I'm sorry, and this, you know what, it's honestly probably a shitty thing to say, but it seems to me like I keep thinking that you're Spooky Black.
Who?
Spooky Black. Does somebody know Spooky Black?
Well, I think the silence now kind of speaks volumes.
He's, anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay, Josh.
No, he's an artist I admire greatly, and so at first I thought, oh, is Spooky Black in that? And it was real. I mean that not at all in a way like, oh, anyway, sorry. I'm so sorry. I just need to mute myself. I'm muting myself.
All right, Josh. Thank you, Josh. No, but I'm tongue-tied now. No, but Unity, the response to that story was incredible. It was an incredible story. When Rudy and I read it, we were like, holy fucking shit. Like in like the chat where we used to discuss submissions, it was like one of those moments where we were both like, God damn, like we have to fucking lock this down. Just an incredible piece. Anyway.
Thank you so much for those kind words. So I'm going to continue from where I left off last week, which is, I can now say is later in the same work in progress that the piece that was published this week is the first chapter of. I don't know if that was a grammatically correct sentence, but.
Made perfect sense. Okay, it's all yours.
Try to get Sybil in the room here. You girls sure love your bathroom time, Kareem says. If he knows I'm high, he doesn't show it. What do you say we get out of here? I've got something I want to show you. A special kind of place. I think you're going to love it. No, it's not my bedroom. Not yet, anyway. I want to get to know you first. You're a real special girl, Miss Sybil Rain. I like you. Just might like you a lot. So what do you say? Come with me? Get out of this dive? Here, let me grab the check. I'm sure he sees it in my eyes. How could he not? He's a policeman, a cop, an officer of the law. They're trained for this, are they not? To be able to tell what's what and who's who. But think, all the officers you've fooled, all the times you've spoken to them and lied, did they really believe you or did they just not care? One more spoiled little rich girl about to get sprung from the pen with a phone call from daddy's lawyers. Why book her when she'll be out again in an hour? But this is different. This is personal, thrilling, dangerous. Can he tell? If he can, he's exceptionally gifted at hiding what he's thinking. A talented actor indeed. What part is he playing? What's his angle? He pays for our tacos and drinks and we bounce. Me in the passenger seat of the police cruiser, classic rock on the radio turned up full blast. Don Henley's ode to his brown-skinned summer muse. He turns on his cop car's flashing lights and we race down the BQE doing 100, windows down, my blonde hair flapping in my face. I don't think I've ever felt so free. He drives with one hand, the way only a black man can, smooth, safe, fully in control. He steers with one hand, places the other on my thigh, his skin so soft, but his grip so supple and sturdy. I imagine him squeezing me in his muscled arms, lifting me up, smashing me into a wall, devouring me with kisses. His hand slides up my thigh beneath my dress and stops. I look down, put my hand over his. Our skins look so perfect together, the contrast in color. We fly over the Brooklyn Bridge and up the FDR. The construction lights from the half-built high-rises in Williamsburg across the river glistening like constellations. I breathe in moon and exhale madness. You're gonna love this place, Kareem says. I just know it. That smell, pink pepper, bergamot, lemon, musk, sweat, and shaving soap, He smells like a real man, not like these fuckboys I've been dealing with. They smell like spoiled babies, talcum powder, shit stains, and BO. He leads me by the hand through the lights of Times Square. I spin in circles past the 100,000 tourists, the bright flashing billboards. He leads me down a dark alley, a place I've never seen. It feels like we're going back in time, back to 1977, when Times Square was an altogether different place, full of danger, electricity, madness, sex, and death. We pass through a heavy door and up a dingy flight of stairs, then another and another. We enter. Not too many people know about this place anymore, he says. I'm excited to show it to you. We pass down the aisles of the shop, past all the silicone tools and latex technologies of perfect perversion, leather and lace, rose red and obsidian black, stiletto heels and fleshlights, animal face masks, poppers, thousands of bottles of slick, sweet lubricant, anal beads and dildos, filthy books, magazines, VHS tapes and DVDs. Kareem parts the perverts in the shop like Moses did the Red Sea. They all want to stare, and some can't resist. But whether due to his badge or simply in deference to the radiant, powerful aura the two of us exude, the shop's customers sneak furtive glances, then shuffle away. I only want to help you, Kareem says. That's all I'm here for. I know a lot of things have happened in your life, Sybil. Bad, terrible, horrible things. And all those bad things have gotten inside you, changed you, made you think that somehow you're bad too. But girl, I've seen bad, and you ain't it. You're a good girl, Sybil Rain, I just know it. All that pain, all that violence, you have to transform it. You've got to find the right place to put it. I can help you if you let me. What do you say? Let's figure out your purpose together. We've all got one. Purpose, I mean. There's no one on this earth without a purpose. I truly believe that. You deserve the world, Miss Sybil. And not just the world either. You deserve the moon and the stars. Will you let me get them for you? Will you give yourself that chance?
That was beautiful. It's like there's a whole world there. I love like taking this piece and taking the piece that we published earlier this week. I love like just like the complete depth of the world that exists within these pieces and like the beauty of that world, because like a lot of the subject matter you write about is, I think, like on its surface, pretty grimy, ugly stuff, but you don't write about it in a grimy, ugly way. You write about it in a like uniquely like poetic way that really brings the world to life and gives it a kind of dimensionality and feeling that you don't see in a lot of like noir kind of like cyberpunky works like this. It's really good, really fucking good. And your delivery was amazing as well.
Thank you.
I agree. That spoke to my soul, and that was beautiful. I almost cried at the end. That was amazing.
Thank you, William, and thank you, Eris. That was wonderful feedback.
Thank you so much for reading. Did someone else want to read? I don't have Rudy with me, so Rudy's not here tonight, so it's a lot harder for me to keep up with if people have asked to read or not. Did we have anyone?
Does anyone else feel like they need a cigarette and maybe to go to church like at the same time? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to read? If not, we can call it a night, and I'll leave the chat up, of course, but we can end the reading portion. But we could go a little longer if somebody actually has a piece that they'd like to read.
Could I tell a true crime story that just happened to me?
Absolutely.
All right, so check this out. Last Saturday, me and a couple girlfriends of mine, they're both named Stephanie. So me and the Stephanies were up here coming out of the swap meet, and we hear this like techno music to our right, and we look over, and it's this like kind of like, imagine Matthew McConaughey at his most sleazy in a really fancy black Mercedes convertible, and he's just staring at us like Cheshire Cat, shades on, just like staring right at us, and we just start talking shit. We're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, especially the girls, they're feeling all uncomfortable, and he's just creeping. He's just predatorily creeping, like right alongside of us. And we're just like, what the fuck, you know? Finally, Stephanie 1 goes to her car. Her car's right there. And I'm walking the other Stephanie to her car. And then I take a right to my car, thinking that he's just going to keep going. And then he whips around and blocks Stephanie 2 from getting into her car. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm already at my car at this point, and I see he's putting his like hood down of his convertible, and he starts talking to Stephanie 2. And I'm just watching the whole thing if I need to step in, and it seemed sort of harmless. She was engaging him. She was a little too nice, but he's talking to her with his hands and everything, and then he starts giving her these medallions, and it's just going on for way too fucking long. And she gets in her car, and I follow her, and we get to her house. I'm like, Stephanie, what the hell happened? And she's all like, oh my God, that guy was like the creepiest guy in the world. He was telling me, I heard everything you guys said about me, and how we need to spread love instead of hate. And he said, I was put on this earth to spread love, and you all need to take after me. And I noticed you were making fun of my car, my expensive car. You know, I love money, and that's why money comes to me. You know, giving us one of these like new age lectures, like that law of attraction shit or whatever, you know. And he said, I'm the owner of Joshua Tree Coffee, which is coffee we all drink up here. And I just never thought it would be an asshole like that, you know. So the following Monday, I get a text from my friend saying, dude, did you hear what happened to the owner of Joshua Tree Coffee? And he sends me the article. The cops fucking shot him to death. Yeah, the cops shot him to death. It's 7 a.m. He had some road rage incident, and he pulled out a gun on another driver. Pulled out a gun and said, do you want to fucking die? And so the cops chased him, and he pulled out a gun at the cops and fucking lit him up. But I'm absolutely convinced that guy had a gun on him while he was talking to us, while he was following us.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I saw you post something about that on Twitter earlier. Wow, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it was total trip. You never know with people.
Yeah, that's scary fucking shit, because like, how close did you guys come, you know?
Yeah, if it was me, like, I used to be really fighty. If that was me, if this would have happened 5 years ago, I would have probably been a dead man. You know, I would have already been in the middle of that encounter, and yeah, I can't stop thinking about that.
Yeah, no, that's fucking scary. You never fucking know. Like, you really never know when someone else might just be completely deranged.
Yeah, he was a new ager he was packing. He was a new ager with a gun. I thought I'd seen it all.
There's it's like, there's more and more shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more that like art isn't allowed, disturbing, violent art.
Yeah, no, good call. Super good call.
The worse it's gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, Unity Falls, with this spooky black thing, didn't mean to be offensive. And also, I agree that with where art is, that's why I love literature right now, is that it seems like the only space where you can be, I don't know, you can say things. If we were doing this stuff in the visual arts or ballet or whatever, I feel like this would be canceled immediately. And that's why I love literature. I think literature has always been the most transgressive. I think it's always been a space for views that, it's not about giving platforms to shitty views. It's about giving a platform for views that are a little bit nuanced and spending a bit of, it's a platform that gives you time to say, okay, this might seem this way, but let's unpack it. And I think there's not room for that in a lot of other fields. So, sorry, Spooky Black. Wait, sorry. No, I mean Unity Falls.
You could call me anything you want to, baby.
Sorry. But you know what I mean? I love this. I love you guys. I love this community, and I like what it stands for, I think. And mute.
Yeah,
Gosh, that was eloquent as fuck.
just two very quick things because I could rant forever on this topic. But number one, I totally agree with you, Unity, about like transgressive art providing like a healthy outlet for this kind of shit. And it's not just like wishful thinking or justifications for wanting to create like shitty art or whatever. It's like they've done psychological studies, right? They've done psychological studies looking at the effects of things like pornography, things like violent video games, and so on. And what they find time and time again is that these, like, in spite of what people say, like, these things are not encouraging you towards violence or some kind of unhinged perversity or like rape or whatever. What they actually are, they're providing an outlet, right? They're providing a replacement. They're providing a substitution that allows humans who are naturally really vile, shitty, violent animals to get that shittiness out in a way that's actually healthy so that it doesn't spill out in ways that might cost other humans life and limb, right? The second really quick thing, to your point, Josh, I think the reason why there's still so much space for transgressive literature when there isn't in other arts is simply because the barrier to entry is so low, right? Like you talked about ballet, you talked about visual art.
Anyone can make a, you know what? Check my SoundCloud, DJ Chrysler Sebring. I mean, we can all.
That's true. The barrier to entry to a lot of art is going down. But as far as like literature is concerned, like the barrier to entry is incredibly, incredibly low. And so like there aren't the same kind of institutional constraints. And really, I think that's the issue, right? The issue so often isn't that there's not a desire to create this art, or even that people are afraid that they're going to get canceled or whatever if they do. It's simply that like the institutional will to create this stuff doesn't exist, and the institutional means to create it and distribute it doesn't exist, you know?
Has anyone read Erotism by Bataille?
No, I've only read the story of the eye.
That one's good. I think I just reread a part, the transgression chapter of Erotism. I think I might read that next week because it's super topical, and I think it just describes it in such beautiful depth, and it's like a French translation. I think you all would enjoy it.
I would love that. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Definitely.
But
I hope that, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, Unity.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I hope that you are considering writing a version of that story with the Stephanies. I mean, it's so.
Yeah, it's
Stephanies in it. I mean, come on.
I know. So me and the Stephanies, yeah, it's pretty classic. I kind of giggle every time I start talking about it because it's Stephanie 1 and Stephanie 2.
It's such a good story. I think it deserves to be immortalized.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, definitely. I
I
think
find it interesting that William was like, you know, I was going to talk. Unity was like, Josh, go. And then William was like, no, Unity, go.
I'm sorry, Josh, but I am trying to be mindful of like how like
No,
how
that was
participant.
honestly, William, I actually support that move. I'm only calling it out in terms of a thing I actually respect. I think that was what needed to happen there
I
because we all saw where it was going, and that was good. I love you.
I just want to keep in mind how much participation certain people have had and certain people haven't. I'll put it that way. Anyway, does anyone else want to read? No, I think we're okay. I think we're done for the night then. I'm going to end the recording here, but I'll definitely keep the Zoom call up for a little while. So anyway, thank you. Thank you everyone who read. Thank you, Griffin. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I really should not try to list the writers at the end because I always forget somebody. Thank you, Unity. I'm watching Josh struggle here to not sneeze, and it's throwing me the fuck off. Anyway, thank you everyone who read tonight. We do these things every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Misery Loves Company. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, maybe you should check out one of the readings. Come and read your work, or just come and lurk if you would like, or come for the discourse. Anyway, we dropped the link right before. On Twitter, follow us at Misery Tourism. That's it. I'm done with the advertisement. I'm fucking ending this thing. All right, fuck it.